Okay, now let's look at indented block quotes. So for more than 4 lines, okay, Provost of Queen's College said. So that sentence there would be part of your main paragraph. Okay, so let's say it's either the beginning of a paragraph or perhaps it's at the end of a paragraph, and then indented like this, a block quote. It is very important for those who wish to be ordained to study theology, especially the teachings of the early councils. They must know how the doctrine of the early church developed and how it can still have relevance for us today in a totally different context. If you use a block quote, you do not need to use quotation marks. It's assumed that it's a quotation just because it's a block quote. And also usually indented block quotes like this will be single space. So if the rest of your paragraphs are double spaced or even space and a half, the block quotes will be single spaced, okay, and indented on, they really should be indented on both sides. Some people will indent it only on the left, but it really should be indented on both sides. And then you put the footnote at the end. So you don't put quotation marks on an indented block quote. Now, if you want to continue in that same paragraph, you just write it like this, okay? So in other words, the in there is going to be flush with the provost up above, okay? So in other words, he believes that a good theological education in the foundational doctrines of the church and how they might apply today can really help ministers to serve their parishes. So what you do is you're quoting, and that's a good use of quotes. I had said before that, I think it was in the second video, I said that part of, I mean, technically speaking, if you write a paper which is nothing but a string of quotes all strung together, you know, technically that's not plagiarism as long as you've referenced everything perfectly, but it's not a good paper either, right? Don't overuse quotes. Don't allow the quotes to make your points for you. So even if you do just start off with a quote like this, then reword it in your own words, right? Engage it. So in other words, he believes, right? So engage it in that sense. Don't just sort of make the quote and then go on, right? Now, what if you said something like this? The provost of Queen's College said that. Now, just like in the embedded quotes, you can either put the colon here and then the block quote, or you could put the that, and then you can put an ellipsis if you want. You technically don't need it because the idea is that it would go directly into the next sentence. Some people do just because spatially it looks fine, but you technically you don't need it, right? So it could just be said that and then nothing, and then just like in the just like so here, because you use the colon, you would use the capital, right? But if you put the that, then you have to make this small case, all right? So you put the square brackets around the I, okay? And then if you wanted to start a new paragraph after that immediately, you would indent the next sentence. So now let us take a look at the kinds of courses a student of theology at Queen's College would be expected to take in their degree program. So basically you want to indent the block quote the same amount as if you were indenting the beginning of a sentence, okay? And you see on the right-hand side, it's indented on the right as well, okay? Now, how about something like this? The provost of Queen's College believes that a good theological education in the foundational doctrines of the church and how they might apply today can really help ministers to serve their parishes. So this is you. These are your words. It's not a quote. You're basically saying in your own words what the provost of Queen's College believes. For example, he said in his interview that, and then you put the quote, okay, and same kind of idea, using that, and then you make the I there a small case in square brackets. So this is another good way of doing it. You, instead of, in this example, you make the quote, in this example, you make the quote first, and then you reword it in your own words. In this example, you say it in your own words first, and then you illustrate that or you back that up with a quote, right? So the idea is you don't just want to sort of have the quote there, you want to somehow engage it, okay, or explain it in your own words. sentence. Okay, so that's enough examples. Just a few. The thing that, as I said, the thing that you really want to watch for is this. Really make sure that you're not changing the meaning of the sentence if it's a question mark or an exclamation mark, if you want to use the proper Chicago style punctuation. Okay.